What is up guys, Deadset here. The said dungeon journey has been completed as I finished the Witch Doctor ones. These are my impressions of them. I'll do something different for the final round of feedback, and I'll go through the dungeons in order of enjoyment, from least to most. The Jade Harvester said dungeon was, without a doubt, the hardest of the four, but it's important to distinguish a challenge from simple frustration, and for the most part, Jade, I think, is the latter. It suffers from the Juliana dungeon syndrome, needing to restart over and over for favorable monster spawns. The anemic, disinterested eels are reminiscent of the lethargic Juliana skeletons, but are twice as frustrating to group, because let's just compare Witch Doctor's Poultry Pyranado pull to Monk's Cyclone Strike, arguably the best pull in the game. You end up fishing for a dense distribution like the one that I have in the video, and then you comically run back and forth between packs without damaging them and hoping to get enough harvests out for the objective. The choice of monsters in the dungeon as a whole is questionable, with the immovable eels and disappearing deceiver snakes hard countering Jade's dive and burst playstyle. The problem is heightened by the fixed monster scaling, basically making it impossible for a geared Witch Doctor to go through a full rotation, and forcing an awkward harvest first, curse later dynamic. I'm still not sure why monster health won't scale, at least to the currently selected difficulty. I think the redeeming part is that the objectives and overall dungeon structure are fine. It's one retuning away from an enjoyable dungeon that teaches you the basic rotation, which is group, curse and harvest. For better or worse, it doesn't present you with a puzzle to solve or force you out of the ordinary Jade ways. It works mostly as a tutorial, and that's fine. I would be having the same problems in Helltooth's dungeon as Jade's, if not for the simple fact that the accursed populating the cave have the decency to actually chase you down. As such, it's not hard at all to group 20 monsters in a single clump. And I'm probably being repetitive about it, but selective damage source objectives continue to feel arbitrary and mostly serve to brush up your knowledge of immunity amulets. In this case, you slap a Mara's Kaleidoscope in the cube and you basically forget about objective number 2. With both tasks solvable in a very straightforward manner, the dungeon's length is the only real challenge. And not a terribly hard one either. I honestly suggest keeping the highly poisonous enemies in, but reconsidering their part in the objectives. A task related to monsters getting killed by gargantuan or zombie dogs while under the effects of necrosis is not just more thematic, but highlights the role of Helltooth as a capable pet set. I found Sunnimass's dungeon very pleasant to go through. It felt very natural to the set, as I was not pressured to reinvent the playstyle just for the needs of the objectives. There's still a subtle twist of the mechanics, and I found it really cool that it was designed to introduce you to the new Wilkins Reach mojo, which, by the way, removes the cooldown of Grasp of the Dead, making the objective far more manageable. The length of the dungeon necessitates that you stay on the move, but doesn't force you into itemizing around movement speed. That being said, the design doesn't delve into the basic Sunnimass playstyle very much. The second objective of not letting enemies in melee range makes sense, but could easily be a wizard or a demon hunter objective. It carries little of the Sunnimass flavor. I would rather be in an environment of highly damaging monsters actively killing my fetishes and have a task of maintaining a certain minimal number of them. This teaches the value of Fetish Sycophants as a passive and Belt of Transcendence as an item, and focuses your attention where it belongs, on the Fetish army. Finally, I really liked the Spirit of our Keir dungeon. I've shared my enjoyment of said dungeons that are more puzzles than tutorials, and this one is no exception. I found it more of a spider management minigame than an actual Keir introduction. Ordering the Spider Queen out of the way so that Toad can go solo the skeletons, only to bring her back to feed on the elites, was a fun dynamic, and it doesn't overstay its welcome with the modest objective requirements. I only found it a little disappointing that the dungeon doesn't encourage pairing our Keir with Mana Juma more, by featuring additional hex or speed related objectives. Still, the Mana Juma set is helpful in covering the length of the dungeon, so it's not completely out of the picture. Well, it was a great journey through all of these said dungeons, with its ups and its downs. I think it bears repeating that I enjoy the static, challenge-oriented dungeons a great deal, and they can have a bright future as a recurring, potentially even competitive activity. It all depends on where they're taken from here, and I will certainly keep an eye on said dungeons. I hope you enjoyed the feedback videos and look forward to the next series, the meat and potatoes of Diablo, build guides for all the classes. Talk to me on Twitter and Facebook that I'll link below, and I'll see you guys next time.